A spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry told the press today that Tehran will use all available tools in its counter response to Israel's early Saturday morning airstrikes, which hit some 20 targets across the Islamic Republic of Iran, setting back their missile program quite significantly. Now, this comes after a number of remarks over the weekend by other Iranian officials, including the top commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, who reportedly warned that the bitter consequences will be unimaginable. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris said the Biden-Harris administration is very adamant that we must see de-escalation in the region going forward. That will be their focus. So will they be pressing Iran and their proxies like they've been pressing Israel? Joining me now to discuss this, Congressman Brian Babin, a former airborne artilleryman in the Texas Army National Guard and captain in the United States Air Force. He serves in the 36th Congressional District of Texas. Congressman Babin, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Always good to be with you, Tony.
So the Prime Minister yesterday said, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that the air attack was precise and powerful and achieved all of its goals. What details do we know at this point of Israel's response?
Well, there are over 140 sorties, I know, by Israeli aircraft, and devastation must have been pretty substantial. They certainly attacked they tried to attack non-civilian, targets. They went after military targets. But I'll tell you what, I think the very fact that the Israelis were able to have freedom of the air tells us that Israel can very well protect itself, and the Iranians have a long way to go.
I think in their first attack a few months back, they were able to take out some of the air defense systems. They took out more, apparently, in this attack, as well as about 20 of their missile and drone facilities. So it does look like they've degraded Tehran's ability to respond to Israel. And some are saying this could be setting up potentially another move by Israel if they deem it necessary.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, I think this all goes back to weak leadership on the part of the Biden-Harris administration. This would not have happened. We would not have seen the October 7th attack by Hamas in Israel. We would not have seen the attack on Ukraine by Russia had we not shown the weakness, the absolute weakness of the Afghan withdrawal under President Biden, the weakness that has been demonstrated around the world, which tells our allies they can't really trust us, and our adversaries that they really don't need to fear us. All of this has to do with leadership. Leadership is everything. We've seen it throughout the Bible. Strong leadership has always been something that is to be sought, and wise leadership to go along with that, Tony.
Well, Congressman Babin, let's talk about that leadership, because what we're hearing is basically a containment approach. They want to stop the confrontation, which Israel's trying to eliminate the threat. But we have the Biden-Harris administration just wanting to, quote unquote, de-escalate, which is essentially a containment policy, which is a failed approach. It's not peace through strength. But when you look at what is, in fact, it was just in Texas this past Friday, Kamala Harris was there in Houston campaigning. Her number one policy issue is abortion. I mean, with the world on fire, that's her top priority.
It is incredible to even think about that. And for since 1973, we've had abortion basically on demand, and as our law. And now this thing has been a good conservative Republican majority Supreme Court has ruled and put this back in the states where it belongs. I am a 100% abortion guy, pro-life, against anti-abortion man. I would vote that abortion, I think, is wrong in just about every single circumstance. There could, I'm a healthcare provider myself, but there are issues, I think, which might justify it. But I am against abortion. The Democrat Party, as you just said, Tony, under Kamala Harris, abortion on demand up to the moment of birth, even after birth. We have seen how these people operate. They are even in favor of letting a newborn infant in a botched abortion just simply die. This is just, it's unconscionable that we would have a party that would have thousands and millions of people that would support them over this issue. It makes me so worried for my children and grandchildren's sake of the morality of our nation. Let's hope and pray that that is not true.
Dr. Babin, the legislature in Texas has spoken on this issue. Texas is a pro-life state. If this is an issue decided by the state of Texas and half the other states have decided they want to be in the pro-life column. Kamala Harris came to Texas to campaign on this policy, and you heard the clip earlier where she said if president, she would sign into law a one-size-fits-all policy that would be abortion until birth. She refused to answer a question last night by Nora O'Donnell what limits she would place on abortion. She will place none. It's abortion, as you described, until birth, and in some cases after, if a child survives a botched abortion. Why is she coming to Texas to sell this?
She's down here trying to run interference and prop up her candidate for Senate, Colin Allred, the Democrat, and to try to unseat our good friend and pro-lifer and good conservative, Ted Cruz. Folks, don't be fooled by this. Ted Cruz has been one of the most pro-life senators we've ever had. It's incredible that I would have people call me and say, hey, should I vote for this Allred guy or do I need to vote for Ted Cruz? And they say, well, I said, vote for the Republican who has a party platform plank that is pro-life. He said, well, I don't know. Is Colin Allred is he not a Republican or what is he? And I said, well, they don't say. So you better educate yourself because this man will be absolutely pro-abortion. He will be open borders. This man is, even though he's an NFL former linebacker, he is in favor of men, transgender, performing and competing against women in women's sports, going into their locker rooms, their showers. It's incredible what this guy is actually wanting to do. So I hope our people in Texas will educate themselves ahead of time and make sure they vote for the one that's going to keep us pro-life and all the conservative issues.
Congressman Babin, I would assume that the reason they have to talk about those issues, making that their top priorities, they can't talk about the economy because inflation is through the roof. They can't talk about national security because the border is wide open. And they certainly can't talk about peace internationally because the world is on fire as a result of their failed policies and weak leadership, as you pointed out. 30 seconds left. Congressman Babin, what should people be thinking as they go into the voting booth next Tuesday?
Number one, just exactly what President Trump said in New York and Madison Square Garden last night. Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? I think 99% of the people out there are going to say, no, I'm not. The inflation is roaring, 20% plus. We've got open borders. We've got a likelihood of terrorist attacks, multiple attacks. We've got criminals. We've got, the possibility of a recession and all of the moral issues as well. Folks, we've got to get out and vote. That's the most important thing that we can possibly do. The border is still wide open. And what I heard last night is incredible. 325,000 missing and possibly dead children have come across the border to supply slave labor, sex slavery going on in our great United States of America based on the Judeo-Christian Bible. Yeah. It is unbelievable to even contemplate that, isn't it?
All right, Congressman Babin, we're going to leave it there. Thanks for joining us.